Hey folks, welcome back to Gaming Garbage, where we take a look at games, chat about the gaming news in the industry, and of course, stream for fun. Today we're doing Gaming News Consolidated. This is August 11th through the 17th. And this is where I take a look at, a few hours of videos, looking over articles and stuff, and consolidate it all right here for you for the week. So let me take a look at my audio, make sure everything is going good. Sounds perfect. So we'll go ahead and get right into this. Like and sub, all that jazz if you're enjoying it. And so first, I definitely have a bulletin that I have to talk about, which probably affects probably all of us actually listening to this. So we found out this started coming out earlier this week. This is from August 15th from the USA Today. There was an enormous security breach that had social security numbers, and apparently this is 2.9 billion records, which includes those social security numbers. So this is, you know, a billion, definitely a billion plus people that are affected by this. And generally, if you're in the United States, this is going to affect you. Also in Great Britain and Canada as well, and there's other countries that are involved in this too, but. Let me go ahead and get into this right away. So this is a class action lawsuit from the U.S. District Attorney's Office in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, against the National Public Data Company. Now, they run background checks and all of this stuff, and basically it's a centralized hub for what they do for background checks. It's not necessarily like firearms, it's something else, but they have a ton of data, and they had a security breach back in April earlier this year, which is frustrating. Apparently, it was a hacking group called USDOD. And yeah, this is a ton. So this is actually reported by Bloomberg Law officially. And this is 277 gigabytes of data. This includes names, address history, relatives, social security numbers, dating back to the last 3 decades. So this is literally, basically, if your data's out there, they got everything on you that they could possibly want to know for possibly phishing scams, trying to take out credit in your name, all of that kind of stuff. And again, this is a background check company. The company has not publicly confirmed so far, but the Los Angeles Times has reported that they've been telling people privately via email that they are aware of, quote, certain third-party claims about consumer data, and they're investigating the issue. So regardless, I would suggest that you take time to change your passwords. Maybe you actually chat with like TransUnion or Equifax, the credit companies, to see if your data has been compromised in any way, or maybe if you've taken out a loan or a credit card or something else like that that you actually haven't done. So just keep track of that. You know, you can use Credit Karma. There's some other ones as well. And of course, you should also start using multi-factor or two-factor authentication through your devices and through your accounts. If you wish to, you can also actually freeze your credit. You have to do this through, again, the credit companies, TransUnion or Equifax, and you can actually freeze your credit for a while. But again, if your data is out there, it's out there. And technically, according to this report, it's out on the black market, and there's been multiple sites or postings that are actually showing that this data is out there. Not in its entirety, but in sections. But again, this is mainly affecting the United States, Britain, and Canadian residents. So, deal with it accordingly. Do some checking and research. But yeah, this is a massive data leak, and we'll hear about this more throughout this year and probably into next year too. So that is just a bulletin for you guys. Now to actually get to the gaming news itself. TangoGameWorks is alive. Can you believe it? It's actually alive. Crafton has bought them and has also kept the employees, as far as we know, all of them. Crafton will also gain ownership of Hi-Fi Rush IP and plans to continue the IP. Now, we don't know if that's, games, movies, or something else, but, Crafton saw the opportunity and they took it. Now, we do know that when Microsoft was talking about getting rid of TangoGameWorks, we didn't actually hear what was really going on with the employees, if all of them were going to be laid off or just some of them. But here we are. We know that Crafton has actually bought them. So The IPs of Evil Within and Ghostwire Tokyo are going to stay with Xbox, and the Evil Within IP has been re-registered as a trademark through ZeniMax, which is also under Xbox, as of August of 2020. There's no announcements for anything yet for the Evil Within, or that if it'll go to another studio, but usually if you re-register a trademark, you're going to be using it in some capacity. We just don't know which capacity. So there's no announcements yet. So Crafton, if you don't know, is known for PUBG Battlegrounds, which was pretty popular, definitely a big one way back in the day. I think they released that in 2015 or 16, so it's been a while. But yeah, I'm glad TangoGameWorks isn't gone, or the talent in order to make those games. So luckily, they're still alive and kicking, and we'll keep you up to date on their next game, excuse me, as I have hiccups, that they're going to be working on. But also, this gives hope that there's also more studios that have been starting because of these layoffs we've been having in the industry. These layoffs, they've been everywhere, basically every small, mid, and large publisher and studio. They've been all over the place. So because of these layoffs, we've had Rebel Wolves get started. They're working on an RPG game. We've also had Time to Kill Games. They're working on an online multiplayer shooter. We've also had Dark Passenger, which is they're making an online ninja game in a time frame of feudal Japan. We also have T-0 Entertainment. They're actually under NetEase, and they're based in Austin, Texas. And we don't know exactly what they're working on, but we know the devs are, have basically been working on MMOs from BioWare and Bethesda. Also had Wildlight Entertainment. Nothing on their game yet, but these are former Respawn devs. And then we've also had Frost Giant Studios, which they're working on a real-time strategy. Notorious Studios, which is actually coming out with a game called Legacy, Steel, and Sorcery, if you wish to check them out. We've also had Anti-Static, which is working on a PvE co-op tactical shooter, which I'm actually excited about that one. Because that one, the fact that it's co-op has me interested, and that it's a shooter, that's one of my favorite genres. And I've already mentioned on the channel that we already have 100 Star, Bad Brain, Uncapped, and Giant Skull. And these are also other companies and studios that have come off from layoffs and been created. And, you know, this is kind of like the phoenix rising from the industry. While these layoffs are horrible, while some of them even seem unwarranted, like the potential of TangoGameWorks, you know, it's not like these devs are just walking away and disappearing and just being out of the industry. While it is still hard to find jobs, some of these are getting connected with other studios or starting their own. And this actually gets me excited because a lot of these folks, while some of them, of course, want to do, live service or just strictly multiplayer, like 5v5 or 6v6, something like that, some of these, too, are wanting to work on actually story narrative games. And I think this is how the industry is going to start to come back. So with any of these studios or any of the new games that are coming, I will keep you up to date, but I'm not really into necessarily looking into what could be happening. I'll actually wait for some solid intel, and I'll keep you guys up to date on that. Next, let's take a look at, we've discovered maybe what the 75 Bungie devs that have been removed from Bungie and are now going to be working on opening a separate studio to work on a, quote, incubation title that has maybe just been in phase 1 of development. And, I hope this is wrong because, again, that just sounds like another game that's not going to do well, called Project Gummy Bears. I wish I was kidding about this, but this is going to be a team-based action game that draws inspiration from fighting, platformers, MOBAs, life sim, and frog-type games, whatever that means. Frog-type, I have no idea, in a lighthearted and comedic world. So this is literally like a facet of everything. Like, a game that's for everybody is really a game for no one. And so it's like, what the heck is this? Project Gummy Bears just sounds insane. Apparently this is, we do know they're working on some kind of a sci-fi title. We don't know the genre of this, or even what frog type means. Hopping around like a platformer? Could this be like Fall Guys or something? I literally have no idea. This is just kind of crazy. But we know that there's some art on their incubation page over at Bungie. You can actually take a look. But the artwork itself that we see, which there's a few pieces of that, it doesn't actually look really that encouraging. And again, we aren't sure if they're actually working on Project Gummy Bears or a different one. It does says there's multiple titles that are in incubation, and they could be working, of course, on any of those. But it just kind of sounds insane that, boy, Project Gummy Bears, I would not flip and call it that. That would not be something I would be excited for. It just kind of almost sounds like another trend chasing thing, being a um, multiplayer online battle arena game, MOBA, or a life sim fighting platformer frog type, lighthearted in a comedic world. Like, I just don't know really what this is, and it just sounds insane. So I just wonder, what games from Sony have we had so far, or what games are coming? Well, we know we have Lego Horizon Adventures. We know we have Concord at the end of the month. We know there's Marathon that's basically going to be replacing Destiny for Bungie employees, and a lot of them are going to be working on Marathon. Technically, Destiny 2 will continue to be worked on, but yeah, definitely not as many, right? Including just the 220 layoffs that they had. We know, too, we're going to be getting Death Stranding 2 as a partnership deal, Until Dawn Remaster, Silent Hill 2 Remaster. We're also going to get Astro Bot 2, Infinity Nikki, which is going to be a focus on PlayStation, the Judas game, Fair Games, which, again, looks awful. We know we're going to be getting a Marvel Wolverine video game, which looks like it'll be possibly exclusive to PlayStation and PC. Ballad of Antera, and then Where Winds Meet. So again, most of these I'm not overly excited for. Maybe Judas, as that's kind of coming from some of the old creators of BioShock, but again, looking at some of the trailers, I'm not overly excited. Plus, we just haven't heard anything about that game. That game is supposed to be coming out, sometime in 2025. And, we're already mostly through 2024, and we still don't even have anything. And this is a weird thing, too, with the industry right now. Since part of 23 all the way through 24 and even into now 25, is that we have a lot of, to be announced or to be decided games of when actually these games are going to be coming out. Not to mention all of the layoffs on top of that and the delays of these games from these studios. So there's just really not a lot of concreteness to the industry right now, which is extremely frustrating for me personally too, because it's like I want to know when these are coming out. I want to know when to actually be expecting these. But I'm wondering too, where the heck are Sony's legacy games? Let me name off some of these. And again, maybe not all of these would exactly be exclusives to PlayStation, but they all kind of started that way. And so let's go ahead and read them. We had Ace Combat, Ratchet and Clank, Sly Cooper, Jack and Dexter, Warhawk, freaking amazing by the way, Twisted Metal, Shadow of the Colossus, Jet Moto, Destruction Derby, Siphon Filter, Colony Wars. That's a wonderful one. Silent Hill. We haven't had a new game from Silent Hill since 2012. And then they're remastering number 2. Really? Come on. Just make another game. G-Police, Future Cop, Valkyria Chronicles, which is another great one, by the way. Steel Rain. Dude, they could so bring that back. They could monetize the frick out of it, and it would actually be incredibly fun to play. Tiny Tank, Metal Arms, Metal Arms, Killzone. Where's my Killzone? Okay, that was a wonderful IP back for PlayStation 2. Driver, Uncharted, Infamous, and Little Big Planet. Where are these IPs? They're not anywhere. And it's like they could be expanding on any of these. They could be bringing some of these back. They could, quote, be remastering some of these, and people would freaking buy it. Of course they would. I would. I'd be stoked. They could even bring some of these actually to Xbox and make more sales that way. So it's like you literally have, 60 million PlayStation 5s out there. You literally have more than that for PlayStation 4s. You also have about 30 million Series X's. And it's like, okay, you're looking at over 100 million opportunities to actually sell and resell some of these games or just remaster them to death. I mean, why don't they do this? It's literally money in the bank for some of this stuff. We also haven't heard anything about the next Gran Turismo 8, which again, Gran Turismo 7 was a few years ago. We haven't heard anything about number 8 at all. And there's some other IPs as well that we really haven't heard about. So I am just curious what the heck is going on, because they've remastered The Last of Us Part 2. I think it was part 2. Or maybe it was part 1. I can't remember. They also remastered Demon Souls. They also are going to remaster Until Dawn, which I think is a weaker title. And then Silent Hill 2. And it's like, we're not having anything else. So I don't really understand what they're doing. I hope the new guy over there that's going to take care of excuse me, PlayStation Studios, Holst, is actually going to, get the ball rolling on some of this stuff, because I'm not excited about Ballad of Ventura, Where the Winds Meet necessarily, Fair Games, Lego Horizon Adventures. I'm not excited for Concord, Death Stranding 2, Judas, Infinity Nikki, Astrobots 2, or the remasters, or Sword of the Sea. While some of these might actually be fun or enjoyable, I'm not overly excited for any of these. I'm more excited about the stuff that I read off. And they need to realize, too, everybody needs to realize, the publishers and the companies, they all need to realize that the majority of gamers today are millennials. That means we are pretty much around 30 years old now at this point. And, we're not getting the games that we want. Like, they could easily play the nostalgia card and make money. Why don't they do it? Anyway, make it make sense, folks, in the comments. Next, we're going to talk about Activision basically committing fraud in a way. Now, I have to preface this. It's not officially fraud, because there's a way to kind of work around it. But let me tell you what happened, and you'll exactly see what I mean. So there was a mod group called H2M for Modern Warfare 2 Original that had been making this mod for PC. And they were really close to actually releasing this. And Activision put Modern Warfare 2 50% off on Steam, which is really unheard of, especially since they already remastered, I believe it was the was it the multiplayer? Maybe it was just the campaign. They only remastered part of it, right? Which I thought was really cheap. I didn't buy it. This was actually number 3 on Steam for pre-orders, which was crazy. So a lot of people were actually wanting this. And then shortly just before release, the discount disappeared, and then H2M Group was given a cease and desist from Activision, and so H2M is shutting down the entire project. And it's not like they've been working on this just for a few months. I mean, they've been working on this for quite a while, sinking time, money, and resources into this to make this mod for this game, to bring back one of the best nostalgic games out there for a lot of us, for millennials and Gen Zers, and then to make money too. And so a lot of people were extremely pissed off about this, and so they had over 1,000 negative reviews on Steam right after this all happened. And then most people are unlikely to get their refunds back for $20, because that was the discount price, $20, because a lot of people were probably playing to actually, kind of level up their weapons, maybe get their gear back, etc., so that they weren't completely starting from scratch, and even get used to just the multiplayer aspect of playing the game and the movement and stuff, because it is different than the current Call of Duty today, and it doesn't even have some of the features that COD has. And so, yeah, again, it's an older title, but there were people playing this. It was easily having hundreds, if not at peak hours, 1,000 or 1,500 actually playing on a daily basis. And this is just insanely frustrating. And two, now you can see maybe why it's like, okay, this is kind of fraudulent, because they used H2M to get sales for something that never came to pass. And they get to keep most of this money. Most people probably won't even try to get a refund or anything, because, Steam has their 2-hour limit or whatever, which again I think is ridiculous. But, this is one reason why I like Bethesda, for sure. I like their games. I like the open world. I like the involvement and engagement. And generally, they've been making better, smoother running games since the start of it all. But, they allow mods, okay? And that's what's so great about playing, like, Fallout 4, is even just the console mods. And they're starting to integrate this into Skyrim. They're starting to integrate this into Starfield. And I love this. I like being able to have integration, to have more brains working on different projects, to just keep expanding a game and keeping it alive even decades after it's already been released. and keeping, quote, the DLC going. And I think it's a cool way, too, to actually for, modders to make money at this point. I mean, why not? Instead of giving it to some big company, while I'm sure they do get a share of it, also people that are just like you and me that are passionate about different IPs are making money at doing mods. And what's wrong with that? And I really wish more companies were like Bethesda that were working with others for these mods to keep these games going. And hey, they could split the profits. Okay, and it'd be cheaper for us to keep these games going because, again, we don't have to have a remaster that's $60. We can just have some mods that are anywhere from $5 to $20 or $30. And people would pay for it. And we could all win. That's really how I see it, folks. I would love to have that. Next, let's talk about Logitech. So, they are looking at making a forever mouse. Which, what the heck does that mean? Doesn't my mouse already basically last forever? Unless you're really brutal and hard to it or it's made out of garbage. It's pretty much going to last a pretty long time. And so they're saying, hey, this is the only one you're ever going to need. It's going to be able to do everything and have all the functionality, quote, be a pretty good quality, all that stuff. But honestly, it looks like plastic to me, the depiction that they give. The problem, you'd have to have a subscription. What? Are you for real? You're going to have me, subscribe to a mouse for my key? Why not just subscribe the mouse pad too? Hey, $5 a month. It'll change color or something. I mean, come on, folks. This is getting ridiculous. There was a lot of backlash on this, thankfully. And, Logitech is just saying, hey, this was just an idea. Whoa. This was just an idea. No, this was basically putting it out there just to see how people would respond to it and to see if you could get away with it. See, folks, regardless of whether you're on PlayStation, Xbox, Nintendo, or PC or somewhere else, or even mobile, what you accept is going to be continued on with for companies to try to just get more money from you. And again, it's like they're literally squeezing water out of a piece of cheese just as much as they can, just literally squeezing the living daylights out of everything just to see if they can make any more money. And I really think it's pretty cheesy and frustrating and even in a way fraudulent, just like what the Activision story with Modern Warfare 2 that I shared. Because, this is just getting ridiculous. And nobody wants this. Okay, nobody wants to pay subscriptions now. People actually want to still buy products and own them, right? That's why they're doing this. But subscriptions is the new trend. Okay, we've been talking about this too on the channel. It's like, okay, Siege is getting a subscription. They're breaking the battle passes from 1 into 2 or 3 different variations now, and ultimately charging you more. They're raising the cost on subscriptions like battle passes. Okay, or they're adding a battle pass now, or they're Game Pass is another example, or PlayStation Plus, okay, or Premium. They're wanting you to just now pay for a service, and while I do think some of them are still valuable, still worth it, in my opinion, at least for what I have at this point in my life, like Game Pass, everybody is starting to do this. So again, great. This is the next best thing that they're going to try. Okay, NFTs didn't work. Alternative cryptos didn't work. Trying to just straight microtransactions isn't now enough. And so now they're just trying to subscription everything to death. And then what the heck is after that? Are you going to be playing your game and magically you're just going to have ads pop up, while you're playing in the middle of whatever? Or an ad is just going to play on your home screen like that actually used to happen for Mirage? And, when does it stop, folks? Like, they're never going to be done doing this. So please, just be vigilant, okay? Just keep saying no to this garbage. Because, this is not making the industry better. Okay, what does make the industry better, we should invest in and vote with our money for. And if it's not improving anything for the overall industry, we should really just say no. Let's talk about Reddit. So CEO Hoffman has talked about adding paywalls to certain subreddits in his earnings call with the company. Literally, they just went public not too long ago, which is earlier this year, I believe. And yeah, now they're already talking about finding another way to basically generate more revenue for the company because they already don't make enough. And this would basically be exclusive content. or allowing private areas or like subreddits. And this wouldn't be anything retroactive to any of the current stuff that's already on there. This would be like, okay, in the future, starting such and such a date, this stuff is going to be exclusive, or the creators can actually make it exclusive, and maybe they'll get a cut, and the creator will get a cut, etc. But again, it's like he's emphasizing that the free version will still exist, but again, possibly in the future, not all of it will actually be free. So again, it's another subscription idea of just like subscribing to certain content or to certain creators maybe or certain groups. And again, it's just all about trying to make that more money without really providing any extra value, which I think is just stupid. Just don't do it, folks. Have you heard of KingMakers? Maybe. Maybe you don't remember the name, but have you seen a game where there's a massive amount of soldiers from like 1400, all in armor and swords clashing at each other, and then you see this just massive modern day truck ripping through the lines, and that's KingMakers. It's actually a game I'm excited for. I want to play it at some point or give it a shot at least, but they already have a movie deal, and we don't even have a release date for this game. And so again, you can bring modern weapons into this game and in medieval battles like guns, tanks, trucks, bikes, etc. And this is kind of going to be like an indie or like a AA type of game. We don't know, again, exactly how big it is. There hasn't been much released for the trailer. But somebody has already made a movie deal. And in my opinion, again, this is just trend chasing. The movie industry is losing money. We've talked about that too, starting at the beginning of this year, how much they made last year to compared to 22 and how much they're on track for this year, especially with movies like Borderlands. Oh my gosh, that is just really bad. The only movies that have been successful so far is basically Inside Out 2 and Deadpool and Wolverine, and everything else is just kind of sucking bricks. And one other that might actually do a really good job is Moana 2 at the end of this year. But again, I can't really see too much going well at the end of these three movies. Well, no, I guess King vs. Kong, Kingdom X, or whatever actually did pretty well too. But there's really not many. Most people are basically just blowing money or lighting it on fire. And, this includes the Borderlands review, which if you're interested, you can take a look at mine. It's not too far back in the catalog for the channel. But again, this just feels like it's trend chasing. So we've had a few successes. Okay, this wasn't like super common. It wasn't rare to have adaptations become a TV show or a movie, but now we're having some successful ones like Sonic the Hedgehog. We're getting a third movie on that. We've also had the, Mario Bros. Movie. We also had Five Nights at Freddy's. That was very successful. We also had the Last of Us TV show, and some would even argue that, hey, maybe even Twisted Metal TV series was actually successful because they're getting a second season. But, Halo got a second season, but again, that didn't mean it was actually successful. It was garbage. It was garbage, folks. It had nothing to do with the tournament. And so currently, this isn't just KingMakers getting a movie or TV show. Currently, there's actually quite a few. So let me read these off. Microsoft, Minecraft, Dredge, Five Nights at Freddy's 2, Alan Wake, BioShock, Arcane, Assassin's Creed, Ark Evolved, Tomb Raider, which is getting 2 of them, Legend of Zelda, Gears of War, and now we're getting KingMakers. We did have a Horizons movie, but again, that was actually canceled, or a TV show, but that was actually canceled. We got caught into that, I think, a couple of months ago. But yeah, there's a lot more in the works, and this is either between, Paramount Plus or actually Netflix or actually becoming movies. But again, it's like this is another trend that's new. Again, these companies or these studios are trying to find ways to make money. They don't have any ideas that are really selling anymore, including Star Wars. And like Disney is really just chugging a whole bunch of bile, if you know what I mean, because they're not really making money on anything anymore. And if they're making anything like freaking Acolyte, good gal, it's just what are they doing to their IPs? It's just a bummer. But I want to say too, this wasn't in my news, but I'm adding this. I just remembered Paramount Plus is actually closing their studio side, for their like subscription side. I don't exactly remember all of this. I saw this at the beginning of the week and was just extremely curious. I think this was on Sunday and or Monday of this week. And it was just like, are you serious? Like they're just canceling stuff. They're laying off people. There's plans to shutter more things. Looks like they're gonna maybe finish some projects and get it on the service. But overall, generally speaking, they're kind of done. So I don't remember all of the details, but if you're curious, you can take a look. But Paramount Plus is definitely losing money. This is probably one of the reasons why they're not trying to Halo 3, even though 343 Studios, which is a gaming company, actually wants to have a third season, which is just, again, just stupid. But yeah, this is truly incredible. That just kind of blew my mind. That, again, there's just too many options out there and not enough money going around keeping it all alive. And this trend will continue. These companies can't, they bit off way more than they could chew. They bought too much, and they tried too much all at once. And, well, again, there's not enough money. Let's get into the Borderlands review. This is really short. If you're curious, you can also watch the review for Borderlands. That will be coming up pretty shortly. And it was going to be released earlier, but, the audio it foobarred, so got to do it again, which is great. But yeah, the Borderlands movie, it was supposed to be a rated R film, which I thought was actually really interesting. And while watching it, I thought, man, this is like Borderlands. It's supposed to be kind of brutal. Overall, I gave it an F. I can, you can watch that review when it comes out, which should be shortly. But we got to learn this from the stunt coordinator, saying that they were blowing heads off and chopping off feet and whatever. And so, yeah, it was definitely a rated R film. But then something changed in post, and they needed to do reshoots for like 2 or 3 weeks. And then quite a few things were also cut for the film in order to keep it a PG-13 movie. Now, yeah, I got my review coming. And yeah, again, it just felt like an F. It's just super choppy in the editing, which now makes sense that this was supposed to be rated R. They cut a lot of stuff out to make it 13. But why they wanted to make it 13, I really don't know. Maybe Lionsgate wanted it to be 13 instead of R. Again, we don't know yet. It's just stupid, though, because, again, this is a rated R video game. Okay, this is rated M. And it is definitely a brutal environment, and I feel like they had a hard time portraying that in the movie. And two, there really felt like there was no risk for the main protagonists in the film because, again, they were always okay. They were always winning, and it was pretty easy to see that. And some of the scenes, too, also seemed pretty unnecessary. And, yeah, it was just not a good look for the film. It hasn't even broke $10 million yet since it's been released, which is really bad. With all of the sales globally that are in pre-ordered or that they've already sold tickets for, it looks like it'll make about 60% of its total cost. Ooh, which means they're still going to lose tens of millions of dollars on this thing. And again, it's not worth your money, okay? Don't watch it. Watch some other videos. Watch my review if you wish, or watch some other reviews. But yeah, please do not go and spend money and waste it on this movie. It's pretty awful. But overall, the CEO, they do want you to give it a chance. Honestly, sir, we did. We gave it a chance, and it's just not worth it. Please don't see it. Some quick little news. GTA 6, we do have finally a narrowed release date, and it's not going to be this year. It's going to be fall of 2025. So we literally have 15 months pretty much until this is going to be released. And I called it. I thought it was going to be spring of 2025, but no. It's going to be fall of 2025, maybe even 26, which, again, people are just not expecting for that, but what a bummer. Also, the Switch 2, we did hear from Nintendo that with some deduction there, we're not going to get the Switch 2 before April of 2025, so it's going to be after that. So I'm thinking maybe summertime, maybe fall time. We'll have to see. But yeah. Not before April of 2025, so you still got a while to wait if you're waiting for that. So thanks for tuning in, folks. It's always been a pleasure just chatting with you all and just engaging with you in the channel. Don't forget, too, that we have our COD event on August 25th. This is 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern, and we're playing Modern Warfare 2, the original. So, hey, come join us on our private server. We'd love to have you. Make sure basically to RSVP and to make sure you're all updated and everything. We're going to be on Xbox, and hopefully we can see you there. With that, folks, we'll see you on the next one.